best. And before I start, though, I want to challenge everyone who is attending today, right? We talked about, you talked about how food is important as a source of immunity. Rashmi ji gave it not in terms of folklore that we have been hearing from our grandmothers ever since we're children, but in terms of very explicit scientific terms on why that is true and why food is Aahaar is Aushadhi, as we call you say in Hindi, and why food is medicine, right? So I want to challenge everyone to think about it, that, where are you on that, as Kalyanji said, in the ditch or on top of the mountain in terms of your nutritional habit, in terms of your own lifestyle? And then this is a thought that started in our mind that, look, what do we do to make sure that people have begun climbing this mountain on a nationwide basis, or not even just nation, but all around the globe? And that is Aahaar Kranti. I will share some slides, but that is the basic ideas. That's the basic thing that we are going after. Let's see. Can you see my slide? Just let me know if you don't. Great. That simple thought, right? That simple thought combined with this question, that thanks to all the efforts that the government of India has already put in, this people have already put in, the nation has already put in over the last 50 years, we are producing way more than what we need to consume as a nation. So when we talk about, when we think about, there's a mismatch in terms of what we eat and what we're producing. It's not the lack of resources. It's not the lack of agricultural productivity. It's just the awareness. And we talked about this, right? In general, the Indian population is very starch heavy. This is a study by the Lancet Commission that you see on screen, where 100% is where everyone should be. Now, take it with a pinch of salt, because no pun intended, because it's a Western-oriented recommendation pattern. But still, the overall takeaway from this study is that we are just eating too much starch, less of other kind of food groups. That's undeniable. If you go into, Kalanji, you talked about, how the nutritional risk is actually showing up on all the numbers that we are seeing, right? So India, obviously, as we are developing as a country, we are controlling the number of deaths. Infectious disease, healthcare, longevity is increasing, but what's also increasing is the death due to dietary risks. It's already the fourth highest factor. It is growing. It will very soon become top 3. And the share of the deaths within that is growing much faster. So yes, we are living longer. We are healthier as a nation, but this is a big concern and should be a concern already. And so these are the thoughts that came together, right? With thanks to people like Rashmi ji, we know on a very scientific basis. We don't have to just believe it as a hearsay or what old-fashioned people say. Nothing like that. It's very modern, very scientific, that what we eat determines so many aspects of our health, starting from gut microbiome, obesity, and everything. We are seeing the numbers play out on the national level. How do we make sure that we take preventive things today? India has had this history of making a nationwide campaign successful, right? I mean, there was a fantasy when India became independent. People thought, oh, India can never feed itself. It's not a viable country on its own. We, of course, proved that wrong in the 60s. Then we said that, agriculture and dairy can be a means of economic improvement as well. It's not just, feeding. Now let's just use that for a better economy. And now we are saying, can we have this Aahaar revolution where we can just focus on the better awareness of nutrition to save lives, to improve health, and of course, the ancillary effects of the economy. Plant-based diet, as we just saw, is just a low-hanging fruit, but obviously the whole spectrum is very different. It includes all aspects, all lifestyles, and it's different for everyone. Like a Maharashtrian person will have a different response to this than a UP person versus a Tamil person, right? And it's very different for, we have like 127 agri-climatic geographic zones within India. So there's 127 different answers to this. But we all has to start with one simple thing. Can we have better awareness for the positive nutrition? Not just in India. And if you think about it, like, India is in such an interesting stage of development that, if we do it right in India, it is a role model that can be set for everyone, not just emerging world. And the more I think about it, the more we work about it. The problem is in here in the United States, in Silicon Valley, it's there in every developed country. And this can be a forum for another way India can be a Vishwaguru. Great at a high level. And obviously I can talk for hours on how we do it, but we have to start somewhere. What we think is that, the best way to start, to create maximum leverage, to create maximum momentum in the shortest amount of effort, is to start with students. So train the teachers, train the students, the message goes to their families, and eventually it goes to the society. We are hoping to start with better awareness. We're hoping that will relate into better nutrition and eventually the better agricultural practices, because look, this has to be supplied from somewhere. All the fruit and vegetables, maybe hydroponics is the answer, maybe horticulture is the answer, maybe getting away to from a vicious cycle of grain-oriented agricultural patterns to a virtuous cycle of horticulture, herbiculture, pisciculture, other things which maybe can help our farmers as well. So how do we start? As I already talked about the audience, we talked about the objective. We are focusing on the NGOs, NGO partners, and reaching out to the schools and Anganwadi in India. Government is already becoming, we had a thought of government will be a second stage. Government is already becoming very interested. As some of you must know, we had a very successful launch event just last month where Dr. Harshvardhan was there from Department of Science and Technology, and so many different people from the heads of different departments from different ministries were there to extend their hand. And eventually, obviously, we have to include the private sector as well. We're starting with English. I'm talking in English, but that's not gonna cut it. Everything that we're doing is actually bilingual, so English and in Hindi, but we have to reach very quickly to the vernacular languages as well. And I can go on and on. Similarly for the content, right? We are starting, as Rashmiji mentioned, or Yeliji mentioned, that we're starting with the content for teachers and trainers, but that we need to do it for the students and individuals, and to take it to a point where everyone can start their mini Kranti wherever they are, in your house, in your office, in your school. We need to have the content to a point where you can just copy and start, a Kranti in your own micro system. Format, of course, we are starting with online, has to be physical, and India is mobile first. In India is like 85% penetrated with mobile. So 85% people in India have mobile phones. So all that needs to come up. I will we can talk more about it, but this is just a chart that we have put up with not only the macronutrients for every common fruits, vegetables, or spice that we use, so about 200 of them, but also the Ayurvedic aspects of it, so that whichever way you relate with this information, whichever way you want to believe in Western science, you want to believe in Indian science, you want to believe in both, it's available to you. And you can go on our website, aahaarkranti.org, to find more about this chart. I'll just end here. The idea, I'm sorry if you don't know Hindi, I'll just translate these to you. If we get Aahaar Kranti right, not only are we making Bharat Ayushman, long living, we are making it Vidwan, because there's a strong correlation, as Rashmiji said, and as others have said, there's a strong correlation between what you eat and cognitive outcome as well, in school outcome, academic performance and everything. We are making it Krishi Pradhan, like look, 2 in 5 of Indians are still employed in agriculture. So we have to focus on that. We have to focus on our farmers. But if we get this right, we are creating a lot of opportunities for food processing industry. So we are creating economic opportunities as well. We're making Bharat Samriddh. We have to return to our traditional knowledge on nutrition. So which comes in the form of, like, this is all scientific. This is not like a Dadi Ma ke kahaniya, right? This is all scientific now. We need the culinary diversity. We need to eat for the microbiomes, for the reasons we talked about. We need to eat what we grew up with, right? The species evolves with the land. And Ayurveda is part of it. Ayurveda is not the the Ved they're giving you an Aushadhi for treating your disease. Ayurveda is a way of life for your nutrition thing, which is again part of it. And as I said earlier, if we get all of this right, we can make Bharat a Vishwaguru again. So I'll stop here. And if there are any questions, please feel to shoot it.